There's like way too much in Mr. White. He's just, overall great person. I really love his charisma. How he's just he can make you feel special just knowing him for 10 seconds, and right away he puts a smile on your face, or right away you feel like this guy is the guy. It's kind of like, the name Dane. Like, you don't see the name Dane out anywhere, but like it's a one of a kind type of thing, and he's kind of the same. He's kind of like a one of a kind type of guy. So that's kind of like my favorite part about him. He's unique. He's different in his own way. He's goofy. He's serious. Like at the same time, it's just like this. He kind of saw a potential in me. He saw something that a lot of people wouldn't have seen in me, since right away, he has kind of like that realization of, just that I can become a great person, and he kind of like understood like me as a person, and he understood like he can see what's best for me. And so, he has influenced me by like, yes, getting me into ag, is one thing, but like just overall making me a great, better person in life, just in the short year that I've known him, only my freshman year. My freshman year went from, I thought it would be this all the way to this, I just never thought like, I couldn't think like anybody else better to like spend my freshman year with. Him being here, he really has cultivated potential in everybody, made everybody feel special, not just every like 600 or so members that are in this ag program. Every single one, he tries his best to make sure you feel special, and just him being here, it just changes the whole environment. He's a key factor. I would like to thank Mr. White for being that father figure for me. My dad is basically like a truck driver, and gone a lot, so you're kind of like that father figure. You're kind of like that father figure for me, not just the rides home, but really helping me be a better person. And you just really cared about me, and you just truly made me feel special, Like, I thought, just coming to high school would be a boring, like, a nightmare, but you made it like a dream. You made it an unforgettable experience, just only being a freshman year, So I would like to thank him for being that person that influenced my life. And it's just hard to explain. It's unexplainable with words of who he truly is to me and how much he's impacted me. From being Mr. White at the beginning of the year, to being Coach White during soccer season, to being Danny now. It's everything that nothing I could ever wish for, for what he has given me. So thank you, and I wish you the best of luck in your new job, and I know you'll do great, and I know you'll kick ass.
The right way.
Oh, I didn't even mean to do that.
Okay, so now the question's for Mr. White. What is your favorite thing about Mr. White?
My favorite thing about Mr. White, there's a lot of things. My favorite thing about Mr. White is probably the fact that he is able to bring any emotion from you. He's able to convey how much he cares about a topic. He's able to eloquently explain his side, his viewpoint on something, and he does that in a way that shows how much he deeply cares about everyone. And he does everything that he can to improve anybody's situation.
How has Mr. White influenced you?
Mr. White, without him, I would be a totally different person. I used to be a very closed-off person. I didn't show my emotions on my face. I always assumed the worst in people. And the beginning of my sophomore year, he really showed me how important it is to just be vulnerable and open up, because sometimes that's just what other people need to do the same thing. And that's how you really create real relationships.
What will you miss most about Mr. White?
What I will miss most about Mr. White is the fact that he wants to make every person feel seen, from giving every person in the class a hug before the beginning and a hug goodbye, to making sure that every student, maybe they don't want to take a opportunity, but he might put you in a class like leadership, and he makes sure that you can accomplish everything that you have the potential to do.
And the last question. Would you like to thank Mr. White for anything?
Thank you, Mr. White, for seeing that even though I always close myself off, for seeing that I always tried to be kind, and making sure that I felt comfortable enough to do that all the time. And I wish you the best of luck in your new job, and we're all gonna miss you a lot.
My favorite thing about Mr. White is that he's very diplomatic in how he talks, and he's taught me a lot, like how I put together and how I talk to people, because I'm usually just kind of don't beat around the bush. It's straight for the jugular. So I appreciate the tact and the diplomacy that Mr. White brings to our ag department.
How has Mr. White influenced you?
With Mr. White, he's taught me that, I guess when I first became an ag teacher, what I had known as ag teaching was the traditional farm kid thing, and so by his example, I've seen that what ag education is and what it can be, and how it's inclusive for everyone regardless of their background, and I really admire that about him.
What will you miss most?
Land of our birth, of where we go and eat, and the fun things that we've gone and done back home, and I'm gonna miss those talks.
And last question, and this is the one that you look at the camera for. Would you like to thank Mr. White for anything?
Thank you for your friendship, the good times that we've had, the countless hotel rooms that we've had to share, and the wonderful advice that's helped me become a better ag teacher.
So now, Mr. White.
Good. Sit up straight. I feel like I'm slouchy too.
You're good. What is your favorite thing about Mr. White?
Sense of humor. His witty sense of humor. He always knows how to take a moment that may be awkward or uncomfortable or maybe overly hyper or extensive, and just really like make it that special moment. In terms of like, I laugh to where I like cry or pee my pants, and it's just always at the right time. And his sense of humor has really like been a light in my life.
How has Mr. White influenced you?
Whew. That's a hard question. I believe I am the teacher I am today because of Mr. White. So that's how he's influenced me. I'm better than I was 3 years ago. I'm a better person, teacher, everything. And it's because of people like that who come into your life and make you see the big picture. And I believe that my best years are to come, and the best years are when I've been able to work with him.
And the last question, so if you could look at the camera, please. Would you like to thank Mr. White for anything?
Thank you. Thank you for trusting in me and believing in me to be a part of this program at Galt High School. I'm forever grateful to you for believing in me and encouraging me to apply. And I hope that I carry with you everything that you've taught me and guided me with to continue doing what you believe in and dream of at Call Ag program. So thank you. Mess.
My favorite thing about Mr. White is how like unapologetic he is. Like he's just kind of like himself and just is himself like completely unapologetically and like tells you straight. And like I was like wow, because I came to high school and like, you know, like people are always like super like, oh sweetie, but Mr. White was just like, Zayda, you're kind of weird. And I was like, oh, that's alright, like that's cool. And like he made you like, I was just kind of like, he made you feel like even if you're like different or you're not like everybody else, like you're still an individual and he still values you like as a person and like isn't afraid to see you as a person rather than like this box that everybody else lives in.
How has Mr. White influenced you?
Mr. White has influenced me definitely a lot by like assuring me that it's okay to be who I am, especially like his curriculum and ag lead and just like the thing he preaches, where he preaches like it's okay to be yourself, it's okay to be vulnerable and like just be yourself, because he's always talking about the value of being your own person and not being scared to be who you are, because he helps you realize that everybody else is just like you and everybody else is also afraid to be who they are. And so he just is like, hey, it's okay, you can be who you are and like not stress about it. And everyone's like, oh, you're right. And so everyone's just like living their best lives because of Mr. White. Thank you.
What will you miss most about Mr. White?
The thing I'm gonna miss most about Mr. White is just like who he is, cause he's nice to people and he makes jokes and he's hilarious, but also like gets stuff done, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you know he respects you and he respects your time and the time that you're putting into everything else, and he doesn't look over your time. Like he respects you as an individual, and I'm gonna miss that.
And last question for the camera. Would you like to thank Mr. White for anything?
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. White, for
Just before you get started, and
Yeah.
some nuts again.
Did you get your call?
Boy.
They said to call. You have to call back.
I have to call back. Right
Damn it. Did you get your call?
Can we do the last question? Would you like to thank Mr. White? I'm so sorry.
Mia!
So Zayda.
Oh, are you my questionnaire now? Okay.
Sorry. So Brad, you're getting emotional.
I know, I was like, I'm gonna cry. I'm also a disaster. Like, my brain is like, like everybody else has this like smooth train of thought, and they're like, they stick to like one idea, and I'm like, this idea, oh, and this one, and this one.
You have lots of looks here. So, what's your last
Just like,
question,
let's
right,
just
for
give
the-
you a hug and call it good.
Okay, so it's Mr. White.
Yes, Senor
Would
Blanco.
you like to thank him for anything, and is it a stand by
Okay. Thank you, Mr. White, for not giving up on everybody. And even though you told us that you were afraid that you didn't want to put like your full time into all of us, especially since you were leaving, because you were afraid that people weren't going to see like the full circle picture, and they weren't going to see that you actually cared about them and that you were doing what you were doing to help them. I thank you for not giving up on all of us and still putting the time and effort into us even though you were leaving. And even before you knew you were gonna leave, thank you for putting like so much effort into all of us and just making sure that we knew that we were valued and making sure that you respected all of our time, because it takes a lot of effort to do all of that. And so I thank you. Thank you.
Looking back on high school, my favorite thing about Mr. White is the way that he puts other people before him. I know going into my freshman year, wasn't necessarily involved in ag in any way, shape, or form. But the way that he brought me in and made me feel included, and he made other students that walk through the same doors that I walk through every single day feel included and like they have a place in this program. That's something really cool, and that's something I really admire about him. He's probably one of the most influential people, if not the most influential person in my life. The way that he carries himself with so much dignity, and the way that he wants every single student, no matter their background, to be successful. That's one thing that I really admire about Mr. White. I admire a lot of things about him, and I hope one day that I get to be half the teacher that he is now. He did a lot for me when I felt like I didn't really have anybody, and he's always been there for me through my hardest times. He gives me constant support, whether it's financial or whether it's moral support. He's always been there for me in my toughest times and my most successful times. We've shared a ton of laughs together, but along the way we've also cried together. Looking back on my 4 years here at Galt High School, I wouldn't want it to have been apart with anybody else. I know we did have, bumps down the road, but I'm sure now we can look back on that and really laugh about it like we did a couple weeks ago. I'm just really happy that I got to be a product of his teaching, and I got to share my senior year and his last year together. And the way that he's influenced me is not in a way that I can necessarily describe, because he's just done so much for me. He's made me feel like I can kind of do anything that I want to be. It's not easy for a student like me to really get out of their comfort zone, because I like to be very comfortable, but he always wanted me to seek uncomfortable situations where I grew the most. And looking forward into my future, I know that I'm really going to strive to be uncomfortable in ways that are going to allow me to grow. And the reason why I do the things that I do is because he's pushed me to do those things, and I'm happy that he was there to be my mentor. And hopefully later down the line we can hopefully join back up and work together one day.
What will you miss most about Mr. White?
There are a lot of things I'll miss about Mr. White. There's not really one thing that I can say I'm really gonna miss this about him, because every morning I show up around 7:30, and he's always in his classroom, and we just kind of talk until I have to go to class. And that's probably been a staple of my life for the last 3 years since my sophomore year. There's a lot that I'm gonna miss, because he's gonna go on to a better opportunity for himself. I'm gonna go on to school, but it's not just like a regular teacher-student friendship. It's now like we're best buds, we're best friends, and it's really cool. I'm really excited to see where our friendship holds in the next 20 to 30 years. I know he's really excited to get his job started, and I'm really excited to go off to college. And I'm just really gonna miss having him there every day, and just having those life talks about what are you gonna do next. And there's a little part of me that's gonna miss those fights that we had along the way, because looking back on it's really funny. But I'm really gonna miss him being a part of my everyday life, and I'm really gonna miss him having around. And I know, being at Chico, he has a lot of friends over there, and I'm sure he'll always check up on me, or they'll stay in touch with him.
And last question about Mr. White. If you could look at the camera. Would you like to thank Mr. White for anything?
Mr. White, thank you for helping me become the person that I am today. Who would have ever known that the bald Mexican kid that was talking about random stuff his freshman year at soccer and conditioning would be the person that, sitting in this chair today thanking his mentor. I can't tell you how grateful I am to have you in my life. It's kind of crazy to think about that we're moving on at the same time, but I know having you in my life for the last 4 years has been incredible, and I'm really excited to see what our future holds together. I can't thank you enough for everything that you did for me and my family. I'm forever grateful for you. I know that I can't wait to, one day have a family, and you be a part of my kids' lives. And I'm just really grateful to have you been my teacher, one of my best friends, and my mentor. And I'm really excited for you and happy for you moving on in your life and finding different opportunities. And I'm really excited to see how you impact students' lives, because I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart that you impacted mine in so many different ways.
Who's up next?
Damn.
Why not? Hey, I've been waiting for how long? Let me go. Hey, I've been waiting.
Do you want to do both of them, or do you not? Don't feel obligated.
Yeah, don't feel like you have to do Mr. Right, because we'll have like a lot of them.
Because if you're gonna like just say something.
Yeah, I'll just do white.
Okay. What is your favorite thing about Mr. White?
Honestly, I can't really choose a favorite thing about Mr. White. Overall, he's like such a great person, from being my soccer coach this past year, or being a person that has really inspired me throughout this year and last year. Mr. White has really changed my life in a very significant way in the past year. He kind of pushed me to run for chapter office, which was something that really changed the way I look at life and the way I am with my friends, and just literally like the way that I live my life on a daily basis. Mr. White is not only a big influence to me, but a big influence to most of the people that have gone through this chapter. And yeah.
How has Mr. White influenced you?
Mr. White has influenced me in many ways. First, he taught me how to put my feelings aside for other people's feelings. He taught me how to understand empathy and how to show it, which is something that is truly special, because everybody needs empathy in their life. Mr. White is just a big inspiration. He taught me how to do public speaking. He taught me how to make myself calm down in certain situations, and he taught me how to manage my time efficiently. So, yeah.
What will you miss most about Mr. White?
Well, I'm just gonna miss his presence overall. I'm gonna miss when he called me Baby Rulito or just Baby Rulo, or how he makes fun of me because I'm always laughing or I'm always making fun of something. I'm sure that the ag department will really miss him. It's been an honor to be taught and mentored, and being a friend of his has been really a special gift to me, and I feel like I'm blessed because I was able to be as close to him as many people have.
And last question, so we'd like you to look at the camera. What, if anything, would you like to thank Mr. White for?
Coach White, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me, from being a father figure to keeping me in the right path. Words can't explain how much I love you and how thankful I am for you. Just know that I'm gonna miss you a lot, whether it's our small laughs or when you're mad at me. I really love you, and I wish you the best of luck in your future.
Can I do like 2 questions for Ray?
Okay, let's start from the previous question.
Okay.
Oh, you keep it going, man. Right up Trevor's butt.
How has Mr. White influenced you?
So, Mr. White has influenced me a lot, and I don't know if he even knows how much he actually did influence me. Since freshman year, I was I mean, I was, a loud girl. I wasn't afraid to express myself. I always, would put myself out there. But there was always that one thing that always stopped me from, I think, that always just stopped me from doing what I could, and that was public speaking. Actually, I hated it. I was the kind of person that, sweated a lot. I'm a very easy sweater. I sweated a lot. I would, stutter really bad, and I don't usually stutter. I, would just get really nervous and anxious and just really I have a lot of anxiety about it. And I mean, Mr. White, I had him probably the first time junior year for Ag Lead, and I don't know if he did, but I think he noticed right away that I was that kind of person that would not, go first for presentations and would not, be the first person to raise my hand or whatever. And so I feel like he noticed that, and I think he really pushed me to do the best that I could. And he always made sure that he would fix me if I was wrong in my public speaking. He would make me uncomfortable so I could grow from it. And I think without him even doing that, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be doing rallies, which is my favorite memory of high school, one of the top 5 memories of high school. I wouldn't be a chapter officer where I would have met all my favorite people and my best friends. I think I wouldn't be able to sit here right now and say what I'm saying without having an anxiety attack and sweating. And so I feel and also not many people know, but he actually influenced me into being the chapter officer because I was because of my fear, chapter office was not on my mind. It was the last thing I wanted to do. I did not want to do it. I mean, I did want to do it, but it was always that fear of, you're gonna go up there and you're gonna talk and everyone's gonna laugh at you because you're gonna mess up or you're gonna stutter or it's gonna be really bad. Don't do that to yourself. But there's also a part of me that was no, do it. You want to make an impact on people. You want to help people. You want to do this. You've wanted to do this since freshman year, but because of my public speaking fear, I was really scared to do that. And I think Mr. White texted me and he was like, hey, are you gonna do this? And I was like, I'll see. And it wasn't, but he kept pushing. He wouldn't let up. He would tell me, okay, you're turning your app and you're doing this. And I think if he wouldn't have done that or pressured me like he did, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have done chapter office because I was so scared. And now, I mean, I'm not the best public speaker ever, but I think since freshman year, I've definitely grown a lot. That was some spit that flew out of my mouth. I've definitely grown a lot, and I wouldn't have done that without Mr. White. That was really long.
What will you miss most about Mr. White?
I kind of already said this, but I'll definitely miss his, oh, Hannah. Because, I do a lot of stupid little things, or I'll say weird things. I definitely have my blonde moments, and Mr. White is not afraid to shine some light on those, and if I do something, he'll be, oh, Hannah. So I'm definitely gonna miss those, because even though it would shine on the moment where I was like, oh gosh, Dana, why did you say that? It always made me laugh about it also, so I'll miss that.
And last question, so if you could look at the camera, would you like to thank Mr. White for anything?
I just would like to thank Mr. White for putting time into people and not, I guess, I know this is a hard question. I would want to thank Mr. White for not letting me hold myself back from what I could do. I want to thank him for putting me in uncomfortable situations where I was like, oh crap, I can't do this. And he would be like, no, Hannah, you can do this. You're gonna do it no matter what. And I just want to thank him for doing that. And I want to thank him for investing time into my friends and always pushing them to do the best that they could, because I mean, they're incredible people, and he always invested his time in people. So I just wanted to thank you for doing that and not giving up on people, and always pushing them, and always making sure that they were the best people that they could be, and that they will reach their highest potential, because not a lot of teachers really do that. They don't really invest themselves into kids like that, and I think if you weren't there to do that, a lot of people wouldn't be who they are today. So I just want to thank you for that. All right, yeah, that was a lot of rambling. So.
So now Mr. White.
Yeah.
And you want to do all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite thing about Mr. White?
My favorite thing about Mr. White would probably have to be just going in there in the mornings. I show up pretty early to school and I don't know what to do, so I'll probably go into Mr. White's class, and he's just always in there, and he always says good morning to you. And it's probably like my favorite thing is he's always wants to acknowledge people and make sure that they feel that like you're there for them, sort of say. Like a lot of people say that the small things count, and that's probably one thing I noticed about Mr. White is he always tries to make those small things count for a lot of people. Whether it is a good morning or it's a good job, he's always gonna be the person that is counting on you.
How has Mr. White influenced you?
Mr. White has probably influenced me a lot just this past year. Before chapter office or before my senior year, I did not know how to public speak at all. I was probably one of the worst ones, but he just influenced me on not so much going towards and looking at how bad you've done at things, but always trying to look forward into the future and how good you can strive to do better things. So that's probably helped a lot, just in the constant support he gives, and is always telling me, oh, like you're doing better at this, like I've noticed improvement in this, and it's probably something that has influenced me.
What will you miss most about Mr. White?
Probably the thing I'll miss most about Mr. White, like I said, would probably be going in there in the morning and just, even if there's just simple conversations, it's just something in the morning before class, because I have math first period and it's pretty nerve-wracking to just go into math that you don't know. But like, I don't know, just going into Mr. White's room, and there's always other people in there, and we're always just talking. And then I'll probably miss all the laughs he's given us. I remember when even when we were at nationals this past year, like any little thing he would just make a joke about, and it would just make us laugh, like for everything. And all the jokes he has for each person, there's little things that I'm gonna miss.
And last question
Oh,
for
shit.
the camera.
Hold up.
Would you like to thank Mr. White for anything?
The thing I probably want to thank Mr. White for is probably believing in me, first and foremost. Starting out, or finishing my junior year, I was kind of hesitant on like running for chapter office, because I had done it the year before and it didn't go my way. But then there was just like something that like went off, and I was like, I'm gonna do this again, and it went my way this time. And Mr. White was always kind of there, especially in the beginning, for telling me how much I've improved. Like I remember when it was just our second meeting, he had told me that I had improved so much from the first one. Like I was so much more confident talking on the mic, and I would be able to memorize my parts more. So that's probably something I would want to thank him for. And then also just believing in other students as well, because a lot of the students on this campus do look up to him and think of him as a role model, and he's helped so many students strive into later on careers in their future, and a lot of people have succeeded because of him. So hopefully I could continue and go on into my future doing good things, and hopefully thank him for that.
Whenever you go into the classroom, he always is happy to see you, because not a lot of teachers are like that, and he always goes out of his way to make sure that you're having to understand what kind of day you're going through, like if you're having a good day, bad day, what's going on. And even if you are having a bad day, being around him can help make it a better one.
And last question about Mr. White, so if you could look at the camera. Would you like to thank Mr. White for anything?
Mr. White, thank you for dedicating so much of your time to helping me and so many other students grow as individuals, and it's helping, and how much you've helped so many people, and constructing basically a lot of the atmosphere around Galt High School that's been a home to me and so many other people. Mr. White has influenced me because I've always been like more like quiet and not talking as much, but ever since I've been involved in Ag Lead, he's helped me to learn more about who I am through the my freshman year, I would spend a lot of time with Mr. Wright on the BIG team because he was always the one that drive us around when Miss Reese was too busy with all the other people going around. So I spent a lot of time with him. And I remember when we were at the state finals, he had the whole team in a Suburban or the van or something. And he was just telling us, guys, I was driving around and I saw this cool thing. So he naturally just like took us over to it. And we were driving, and he's like, notice how the road just disappears? And we're all looking, and we're like, what? And he was like, here we go. And everybody was freaking out because we basically went down a giant hill that was just flat. And he was laughing the whole time because we were all terrorized. And that's one of my favorite memories with him. And also just always hearing the long stories that he has to tell us in the car rides always helps pass the time, because no matter what, they're always super interesting somehow.
What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
What I'll miss most about Mr. Wright is I don't have him in any classes, but when you pass by him in the hallway, he always does something to like say hi and get your attention. Like he'll do the princess wave, or he'll do some kind of different wave with his hands. And another thing that I'll miss the most is whenever there's a holiday coming around, he always sends text messages to me or my family, and that's just something that's really nice because you know that there's always, it's nice to know that you have a teacher, someone always thinking about you on the holidays, and it makes you feel happy that you know that they're always there.
Okay, so for Mr. White now, what is your favorite thing about Mr. White?
My favorite thing about Mr. White is that whenever you're in the classroom and people are messing around, he is not afraid to call people out, because that's not a lot of teachers do that, and that like helps get the class rolling, you know. And I don't know, because I'm not one of the people that like tends to slack off the most when you're in the classroom, and then seeing him like get at the people that are messing around is just really funny to me. And wait, what was the question?
What is your favorite thing?
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite things. And also, whenever you go into the classroom, he's always so excited to see everyone as they walk in the door, and that.
What will you miss most, and would you like to go? Okay, trying to go. Bye, guys.
For Mr. Wright, what was the first question?
See you later. Bye, Hannah. For Mr. Wright is or for both of them.
No, yeah.
What is your favorite thing?
Things, Trevor, can you put that out?
I'll be the first and the third.
Yeah. How has he influenced you and what we miss most?
Shit, sorry.
How has he influenced you and what we miss most? Or did you want to do favorite thing and miss most?
Yeah, favorite thing.
Okay.
What's my favorite thing on Mr. Wright?
And then all of them for White?
Yeah, I guess. Where do I look, Mia?
Yep.
So,
for Mr. Wright, what is your favorite thing about Mr. Wright?
probably my favorite thing about Mr. Wright would probably be the constant support he gives all of us, and just like in the chapter. Just me, myself, I really didn't know Mr. Wright until my senior year. I met him when we got elected in the chapter office, and we met him at the retreat. And I was pretty scared on like getting to know new teachers, because I was always set on like, oh, I already know this teacher, I'm just gonna stick with them my like entire like high school career, sort of say. But like Mr. Wright was different, and he was always trying to give us all the support. And even if he didn't know us at that point, he was always saying like, "Good job," or "I liked what you've been doing this week," or something. And that's probably something I'm gonna miss the most about him. And also a thing that I'll probably miss the most is just the stories he gives us. Like me, like I said, I didn't really know him, but all the stories he has to tell, they all have such a big background towards it. Like I remember he told me the story about when he was the first one to create the barrel smoker, and now he like made the drive-through barbecue what it is now. And all those stories are probably things I'm gonna miss.
What will you miss most about Mr.
What was the first? Oh, can we cut this in? What was the question? What do you like?
Before?
Yeah, because I talked about the miss.
You did both.
Then you blended them both.
So you're good.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, then ask another question because I have.
Ask a different one.
Yeah.
You want me to ask like?
What's the last one?
Would you like to thank him for anything?
Oh yeah, I just say right here.
Yeah. Would you like to thank Mr. Wright for anything?
One thing I probably would want to thank Mr. Wright for would probably be giving me the chance to do the drive-through barbecue with him these past 2 times. It was something I've never experienced in high school, and it's pretty neat just going out there early in the morning and just starting to smoke everything and really get everything prepared for the dinner at hand, because like that I saw what it takes and what he's been doing his entire teaching career and the drive-through barbecues, and he just gave me a real good memory that I'm probably gonna cherish my entire high school career and later on in the future. And really want to just thank him for everything he's done, all the support. Like I said, he even if he doesn't know you, he's always gonna support you in whatever you do, and I just want to thank you for that.
Okay.
You're gonna make yourself cry.
I know, because I'm thinking about. Is my face red? No. Okay.
So memory and then looking in your face.
Okay. Do I not look? Do I look? Oh, okay. Looking at Mia.
What is your favorite memory of Mr. Wright?
Okay, so this one's pretty easy, because probably my favorite memory of Mr. Wright is probably one of my first memories with Mr. Wright, and that was I think like the first blood drive I worked at. And I always just worked them. I never like did the blood because I don't like the blood stuff. But I remember I was sitting on the chairs because I was supposed to like, you know, direct people to like whatever thing to go to. I remember I had a banana in my hand because, you know, like the best part about blood drives are the snacks. So like I had a banana in my hand and like I peeled it and I was eating it. And then Mr. Wright comes running towards me, takes a picture, and then he turns it towards me and he's like, "Look, it's a Hannah eating a banana, Hannah banana." And I was like, what the heck? I was like, oh my gosh. And then he sent it in like the teacher group chat, and then like I remember for like a couple weeks after that, the teachers would come up and they'd be like, "Oh, it's Hannah banana. Look at this picture Mr. Wright showed me of Hannah eating a banana, like ha ha ha." So it's probably definitely like one of my favorite memories of Mr. Wright.
What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
Do I not look again? Okay, sorry, I didn't really know. Okay, something I'm gonna miss from Mr. Wright is probably his big dad hugs, I guess you could say. Like, you know, whenever I just hug Mr. Wright, it's just like, I feel so comforted, and I just feel like, you know, like it's a dad hug. And then probably another thing that I'll definitely miss the most is his random pictures on like holidays, or I remember he would send me pictures of his grandson because he was just so excited, and I remember I told him how much like I loved babies, so I was like, oh my gosh, I love babies, like your grandson's so cute. So then he would just like send me pictures of him, and it just like would make my day, and it would always just make me laugh a little bit because I feel like, I don't know, it's just something goofy that he does, and I'm definitely gonna miss it.
Perfect. So for Mr. White, did you want to do all 4 questions?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite thing about Mr. White?
Okay. My favorite thing about Mr. White is probably seeing the way that he impacts kids around him, I feel like it's really cool to see a teacher have those kind of relationships with kids. And I've never seen someone invest so much time and effort and just emotional energy into impacting someone else's lives. He's a very selfless person, and he will do anything. He'll put whatever his needs are aside just to help these students and all these kids in whatever they're going to. He invests time in helping them grow. He wants them to be the best people or person that they are, and he always can see the potential that they have even when they can't see it, and I feel like I'm definitely gonna miss that. And I'm also definitely gonna miss his Hannah, sweet Hannah, stuff like that. Yeah.
How has Mr. White influenced you?
I feel like Mr. White has influenced me a lot, and I don't even know if he knows, but if you knew me freshman year, I was still like a crazy girl, you know, like I was still very open and loud, but I hated public speaking, and a lot of people know that public speaking is like my biggest... Wow, we're in the moment. And cut. Oh, did you break it?
No, the table's been broken for like 7 years. It's not gonna go back
For
up.
7 years?
No, it's not gonna go back up because the middle came out. Oh. It's the table's done.
Hey, we just leave it on the ground.
Way to go.
No, remember,
Okay, good. That helped my like tears go back. So good job.
I don't think.
Just broke a whole ass table.
remember when bottom,
Dude, you guys.
Like,
Yeah, remember when Pink Body Slam did this?
everything's good. Yeah, just have my stuff on.
Oh shit! You want me to take it off?
Yeah, here,
We'll just
Will you take it
set
off,
it
please?
down.
We'll just put it on these tables.
Yeah.
Is there more?
Much more secure.
Do you have a phone charger?
I actually do it. It's up there. Michael, I got it behind 2 inch nice. It's in a little pocket. I know. And you know what? I can get Facebook and another one here, so I really should know.
Can you see all my oils?
Yeah.
But like, they're really cute.
Not that cute.
My favorite thing about Mr. Wright would probably be his stories, because they're not necessarily, there's like always a history about something, or you knew somebody about it that did some things, and I just always thought it was really interesting that he like knows so much, but like you really don't know that until you really get to know him. And I remember one day we had a conversation in Mr. White's class, and he was talking about like how Mr. White's room used to look like, and that's just really cool to think about like how big our program has grown throughout the years. Is like instead of having a bunch of box computers, we now have like our own computer lab. Like that's just really cool, and that's probably Mr. Wright. He's like the person that I always look forward to like talking to, because he just has so much to say, and it's always just like really interesting. And I was like, every conversation I've had with him has always been like I've always learned something new. It's been something really interesting.
How has Mr. Wright influenced you?
Mr. Wright made me appreciate what we have now. He's been here for like 38 years. That's like longer than my brothers have been alive. And for him to see teachers come and go, but for him to stay loyal to this program is just really cool to see. That's one, going into ag education, I really look up to him and admire that about him, because it's hard to stay somewhere. It's hard to stay somewhere for a long time, much less 38 years. And I'm really influenced by the loyalty that he has to his program, and the constant support and his admiration for all the students that go through these doors. Like he's taught the parents of students that are here now. Like that's just really incredible to see, and that's probably the one thing that Mr. Wright has really influenced towards me.
What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
The thing I'll probably miss the most about Mr. Wright, I mean, we're both leaving at the same time, so it's not like I'm gonna stay and he's gonna leave. I think that looking back on high school, I'm really gonna miss all the stories that he tells us in class and the constant support that he gives us. Even though me and him never really like built a relationship till this year, I'm really happy that my senior year that I really got to be in his class and enjoy the time that he had left, and knowing that it was his last year. I'm happy that I got to, be there for his last year and somehow leave a mark on him, knowing that, I'm going to go to Chico State, he's going to go into retirement. But at the end of the day, we're both flipping a book and flipping a chapter in the next book of our lives. And I'm really happy that I got to be a part of his life my senior year. I'm really going to miss his stories. I'm really going to miss the personality that he brings. It's nothing you would really expect. When you see him, you'd think like, oh, like he's kind of chill, but when you really get to know him, he's like a really funny guy. And I think going into college, I'm really gonna miss that, and I'm really gonna need some humor and some stories while I'm there.
And this is the last question for Mr. Wright, so if you could look at the camera.
Okay.
Say your answer.
Okay.
Would you like to thank Mr. Wright for anything?
So I would say like, thank you, Mr. Wright. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wright, for for all the stories, the constant support, and your really big bear hugs. I know after these last couple weeks, it's been really hectic, but looking back on the last week of April, your hug was probably one of the things I enjoyed the most, because you don't look like a hugger, but you give some of the best hugs, and I really want to credit you to that. Thank you for all the stories. Thank you for being you, and thank you for being loyal to this program. I'm really excited to see what your life brings to you. I know you really want to travel, and I know you have a grandson, and I know he aspires just to be like his grandpa. I just want to thank you for everything.
Love it. So moving on to Mr. White. Bye.
Okay. So please look at me while you're answering. And how has Mr. Wright influenced you?
Mr. Wright's influenced me big time on my future and stuff. He's taught me to weld really good. He's taught me every little skill there is to being a mechanic. He's shown me so much things about building a project. I could take a picture of a project, send it to him, then he'll give me advice. Hey, you need to cut this shorter. You need to, do a harder weld or whatnot.
What is your favorite thing about Mr. Wright?
Probably his stories. He's got so many stories. The past 37 years he's been teaching. Like you could say hammer and he'll have a story for it. And probably his sense of humor. Like, he's a really cool teacher. You could say a joke to him that no other teacher would be okay with, and then he'd laugh with us or add on to the joke.
Alright. What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
Probably his experience, like knowing that I have someone to go to if I have a question, or maybe even advice for some other things other than welding, or even in FFA stuff. Like, he has lots of experience. Not trying to be mean and just calling him old or anything, but yeah, mostly advice.
All right, and then please look at the camera while you're answering this one. Would you like to thank Mr. Wright for anything?
Thank you, Mr. Wright, for pushing me, even making me do things that I don't know if I could do, especially, big part in welding. And I won't give it up, because I know you see, a big part in welding for me, and I know you pushed me big to get certifications and, build more projects. And you pushed me since freshman year till now, since, freshman year building a bench and now building smokers and stuff. And thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
The thing I'm going to miss most about Mr. Wright is probably his sense of humor and how he approaches people, because he was the first teacher that I had interacted with that was friendly and willing to be your friend and be your pal and makes jokes with you and stuff, because previously I just had teachers who were just kind of sit down, open your books, and because I had him freshman year too. And so I'm definitely gonna miss his sense of humor and him improving your day. You'll walk in and if you're all bummy, he'll be like, oh, what's wrong, or like make a joke or something like that. Like he's aware of his students and like cares about them, and you know he cares about everybody.
And last question for Mr. Wright. So if you could look at the camera, would you like to thank Mr. Wright for anything?
Definitely. I want to thank you, Mr. Wright, for all the work that you put into us, because I know that we're a lot of work, and you do a lot of behind the scene work that I don't think a lot of people recognize. Like, especially since I was in community service this year, I saw all the work you put into us, and like with the blood drives and all of the fundraisers, like you always put the extra step into us, and you always go the extra mile to like make everybody feel like they're valued. Like for the blood drives, you'd bring us like donuts and like pizza for lunch, and like you always go the extra mile, and we all appreciate it. And so I want to thank you for everything you put into us.
So now, what is your favorite thing about Mr. Wright?
My favorite thing about Mr. Wright is he's hilarious. He just like goes around in his classrooms, and you're like kind of scared for a little bit, because he'll like start talking about his stories about people getting like electrocuted and like falling off at trains, and you're like, and then he'll like yell at the kids who are like being crazy or something, and so you're like slightly terrified of Mr. Wright. But then like, especially when you're little, and then like he like comes up and talks to you and is like super nice and like laughs and like jokes about how you like marked a pencil wrong or something, and just like makes jokes and like makes your like day better. So that's what I like about Mr. Wright.
How has Mr. Wright influenced you?
Mr. Wright has influenced me by just kind of like assuring me as a person, because like he'll like joke with me and be like, stop being an idiot, Zeta, but then like also is like, you know, like you're a really good person, and like you're a good student, like don't worry about like this person or that person or whatever. And he always like, he'll like reassure you like and like who you are, but he's really genuine to where you feel like he's not like lying to you, like you like believe what he's saying to you.
C-Dub, my bud. My favorite thing about him is he always just knows the right time that I need a hug or that I needed that moment. He has this smile that he flashes, and I think that's one of my favorite things, where he goes. It's one of my favorite things about Mr. Wright.
How has Mr. Wright influenced you?
Mr. Wright actually began influencing me before I was even a teacher at Galt High School. Before I taught here, at my previous school, I coached veg crops. And when I first started coaching, he was really competitive and had a great team. And he was a competitor of mine, and I would ask him questions and bounce ideas off of him. And he was the one who kind of kept me motivated and interested in following through. And I appreciated that about him, that he was helping people that weren't even at his school and that he didn't even know me. And he went out of his way to make sure that I was comfortable and that I was set with the veg crop contest. And I did that contest up until last year.
What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
A lot. Mr. Wright is pretty awesome. I'm thankful to be with him, to have worked with him for 3 years. He makes me laugh. He tells the best stories, a lot of stories, and we appreciate his stories, but they always seem to like be at that time when you're needing that extra comfort, that I feel like I'll miss that a lot about him. And I'm just gonna miss the conferences with him, traveling with him. He's so much fun when we go on the trips, and brings that peace of mind, and I'm really gonna miss that. Plus his cooking, barbecuing, definitely gonna miss.
And last question, so camera, would you like to thank Mr. Wright for anything?
Mr. Wright, thank you for your service to ag education. Thank you for inspiring us that are coming up behind you. And thank you for investing in Galt Ag Program for 37 years of your life and giving us your all, because we're here because you invested And we've been able to grow because of your commitment and your contribution to our program and our community and the people you work with. You care about us, and we're thankful for you.
Okay.
So now we're gonna
It's like a job interview, huh?
I know. Well, all these people.
What is your favorite thing about Mr. Wright?
You mean DJ, get it right? Or the C-dub? My favorite thing about Mr. Wright is there's so many things. I don't know, our love of sporting clays, our love of mechanics, the outdoors, but probably I just really like to antagonize him and get a rise out of him, and he's usually so easy to get a good laugh out of. Yeah, that's what I really like about him.
How has Mr. Wright influenced you?
Mr. Wright has influenced me because 37 years of service is a long time, and so being now in my 7th year of teaching, and there's a lot of still unknowns and things that I've had to work through, and Mr. Wright is kind of like the lighthouse. He's the pioneer. He's gone before us, and with us he brings a lot of insight and intuition into certain situations when there's a lot of uncertainty. And I think he's more of just like the foundation of our ag program because he has so much experience on how to handle things, and that's something I really like about him.
What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
Mr. Wright is, I'm gonna miss that he knows so much, and he's been so helpful on projects, getting equipment repaired, and he's just like a walking ag mechanics textbook, and I'm gonna miss having access to that brain of his and bouncing ideas off of him.
And last question, this is over the camera. Would you like to thank Mr. Wright for anything?
Mr. Wright, there's so much to thank you for. I'm first of all sorry that the first summer I was here that I threw away about half of your stuff in the ag shop while you're gone on vacation, and that I got rid of your welder that I didn't know was your welder because it was on my side of the shop. I'm sorry. I stepped on your toes a lot as a new teacher, and I'm sorry, but I wish you the best. I hope that you'll be able to forgive me. May you find the ultimate camping spot with your RV, and I just wish you the best, and you're literally like one of the greatest people I've ever met, and it's been a pleasure to teach with you and to learn from you and to have your mentorship.
My favorite thing about Mr. Wright is that he does not take crap from anyone. When you're in his class, whether you wanted to be in there and you expected to be learning about construction, he's gonna make sure that you get that information, and he cares about you. That's why he does that, and he just wants what's best for his students.
How has Mr. Wright influenced you?
Mr. Wright definitely helped me because being in his construction class was something that I never thought I was going to do. I never thought I'd be capable of like making a whole stool by myself, but he stayed patient, and now I understand everything because he was so kind and helpful.
What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
What I'll probably miss most about Mr. Wright is his giant hugs and the fact that he's not afraid to show that he cares about every student. Zeta areas.
Can we go again?
Yeah, it was what are you gonna miss most?
Yes. What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
What I'll miss most about Mr. Wright is the fact that he like thoroughly and deeply cares about every student and about our ag department so much. I know that the other day after our final like meeting, he gave me a big hug, and he was just like, wow, this is my last meeting. And I feel like you could just see how much he cared and how much it mattered to him, and I felt that too.
Okay, last question for Mr. Wright, and we'd like you to look at the camera. Would you like to thank Mr. Wright for anything?
Thank you, Mr. Wright, for being like everybody's grandpa in the ag department, and for ensuring that we all are given all the tools that we need, both like physically in your classes and mentally, so that we can always get the job done the right way.
My favorite thing about Mr. Wright would have to be his sense of caring for everyone, and he's always there when you need him. So like if you need to talk about anything, then you know you could go to him. Yeah.
How has Mr. Wright influenced you?
Mr. Wright has influenced me by getting more involved in ag, because without his push I wouldn't have. And I've only been in ag for 3 years, but he's made a huge difference in my life.
What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
I really couldn't pick one thing to miss most about Mr. Wright, because like he has so many great qualities and he teaches so well. Like he's so patient and kind and loving and charismatic, and I mean I'll just miss everything about Mr. Wright, honestly.
What would you like to thank him for? If anything?
I think I would like to thank him for being someone that I could always look up to, a really good role model, and always being there for me when I needed him, or like if I needed a hug, I always knew I could go get a bear hug from him, and he's a really amazing guy.
Perfect. That's everything. That was really good.
Okay.
Love it.
Probably he's been around for all my crazy ideas I come up with through these 4 years of high school, also including since I was 6 years old because of my older brothers. JC, because I actually for a little bit wasn't going to go to college at all, and he pushed me to get a recommendation letter from him and go down there for the diesel program.
What will you miss most about Mr. Wright?
Probably him cracking jokes in class and stuff nobody else would ever crack a joke at.
Would you like to thank Mr. Wright for anything?
Mr. Wright, I would like to thank you for being like my second father throughout these 4 years of high school, along with being my biggest supporter on graduating.